I don't know if I guess this is exclusive. There was a conference call that a certain leader of the National Republican Party was on with Indiana state senators earlier today. And I'll let you fill in the blanks on who you think that national leader was. Just to give you some context, last week, Vice President J.D. Vance came to talk to the caucus in person. And so I can tell you it wasn't J.D. Vance who was on that call. There are a lot of people who think that Governor Braun will be calling the special session perhaps as soon as today. I don't know for a fact whether that's going to happen, but I can tell you that they do not have the votes inside the Indiana State Senate. And I think they've been pushing and pushing and pushing, but they have not been very persuasive. And so now what I'm hearing is the governor is going to call the special session anyway without the votes, which I don't think is going to do a whole lot for his favorable rating. Again, this feels like a very poorly planned, poorly organized, poorly thought out initiative, let's just say. And I think part of it is, the White House has not been doing a very good job, again, based on the sources I'm talking to, laying this out for these state senators, for these state representatives. They have not sent them or shown them a proposed map. There isn't a clear talking point on the justification for redrawing these districts. Indiana is a state that has a lot of problems. We've got people who can't afford to buy groceries. We've got housing prices that are skyrocketing. And what this feels like to me is our Republican leaders, and Mike Braun is the number one example of that, who are focused on solving their problems, not ours.
Well, even more to the point, solving Donald Trump's problems.
Well, I think they're worried that Donald Trump's problems will become their problem, right? Or if they don't solve that problem, that they will end up having more problems. But I also think, our state legislature is designed so the senators are only up every 4 years. And so out of those 50 senators, 40 are Republicans. And, a large percentage of those are not up next year. And I think some of them are making the bet that in 3 years, this is not going to be an animating issue for people, and certainly not for the president at that point. So I think that's part of it. And frankly, that's a good thing. The system was designed, for that to be the case. But I also think, when you talk to these legislators privately, they didn't have any problem with the maps in Indiana. There are not enough Republicans, frankly, for them to be pulling some out of the more Republican districts and shoving them into the Democratic ones right now. And so I think they recognize that redrawing the maps, not only is it a political loser for them, our polling showed that 53% of Hoosiers were against it, only 34% supported it. And even the Republican support was pretty soft. So the Republicans that we polled, 90% of them had a favorable opinion of Donald Trump. Only 59% of them said they supported redistricting. There's a 31% gap there. And so this is just not an issue that people think is something that the legislature should do. Again, Braun is talking like he's going to call the special session anyway. And behind closed doors, we hear that is most likely going to happen. And I think it's because they think, well, once this becomes, no longer theoretical, maybe some of these folks will feel a little bit more heat. But that's a big gamble to take, especially at a time when, according to our polling, there's not a lot of support for Republicans in general, and certainly not a lot of support for the governor.
Guys, remember, like, share, subscribe. All right, this is why we do independent journalism. We got double independent today. We got independent Indiana, and independent journalism, 24 site news. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure we're getting the word out there. Well, okay, so clearly we have to do a follow-up now, because
there is a national angle, Tom, to what's happening in Indiana. Absolutely.
Shocked, I say. A lot of folks don't know this. And if you're not from the heartland, it's easy to miss it. And I think there's a lot of folks that like it that way. Indiana has all of this, as we say here, punches above its weight, all these wild stories out of the heartland. All kinds of incredible weirdness happening too. Who's the one that the Fox News guy that got drunk and got in a fight with the truck driver just recently down in Indy?
It's a Fox Sports
yes.
commentator, Mark Sanchez, former USC quarterback, former New York Jets butt fumbler, Mark Sanchez.
Just bonkers. I was on with Dan Spieler for this week's In Focus, and we were talking a little bit
Yeah.
about.
Will you tell him to put me on? By the way, I think I'd be good on that show.
I will. I'll drop a note. I'll tell him that that you found a way onto these secret phone calls. That seems like the way to do it. We were talking about this because Loftmiller's where what's his name ran into after getting stabbed in defense, right, by the 69-year-old truck driver.
You're talking about Mark Sanchez, yes.
Yeah, he ran into Loftmiller's right across the street from the State House, bleeding all over the place. And there's like blood on the glass, blood on the windows still for days afterwards. Just incredible. People don't know how interesting Indiana is. Well, we're here to fix that. Okay. From Mad Anthony all the way down to bloody Mark Sanchez.
There's always news in Indiana.
That's right, baby. We haven't even talked about Ursay. Stories there. Okay, Nathan, where can we find you? Where can we catch up with Independent Indiana?
So you can follow us on Twitter. It's Indie Indiana. So you just have to search it. It's INDPE Indiana. Unfortunately, we couldn't get Independent Indiana, but also just go to our website, independentindiana.org. You'll learn a lot more about us there. And would also encourage you, like I said, to check out either the podcast or the video of our event that we had in Indianapolis a few weeks ago to get a sense of who these independents are. Again, it's not the stereotypical sort of gadflies that have run as independents in the past. Now, these are the regular folks. These are the folks in the tradition of Richard Lugar or an Evan Bayh who are not willing to compromise their values in order to serve the people of their communities.
Wow. Right on. Nathan, dude, thank you so much for being here, man. And yeah, we're going to be coming back on Redistricting again soon.